August the 5th to today's date. Chief Keel with SLED will provide comments pertaining to the resources that we'll pull together at the state level. Major Robertson from SLED will give an operational overview. He was the OIC of the operation at the landfill. Mr. Gerald Dees to my right will speak on behalf of the family and will follow Major Robertson. Solicitor Finney will follow Mr. Dees, followed by Mayor McElveen, Mayor Joseph McElveen from the city of Sumter. I would ask if you could hold all of your questions until the entire presentation is made, and then we'll come back and answer whatever questions we can based on what you're asking. So to take us back to August the 5th of this year was a day that changed this community, a day that impacted two families, a day that impacted all of these officers and first responders. At approximately 6 p.m. on the 5th of August, the Sumter Police Department was notified by a caller from the Lantana Apartments, whereby described a body wrapped in a rug within an apartment. Responding officers arrived on scene and discovered what was later to be determined Cherie Bradley. Persons in the area of the apartment complex pointed out an individual that appeared to be trying to get away from the scene. He was shortly located and apprehended at a home on Susie Rimbert, which is within the area of Lantana Apartments. He was identified as Dante Johnson. Johnson was identified by persons in the immediate area as someone that had been acquaintance to Miss Bradley. He was transported to the Sumter Police Department by City of Sumter officers to begin an investigation into the apparent death of Miss Bradley. During the course of the investigation early on, it was determined that Miss Bradley had 3 children. 12-year-old CJ was located within the apartment complex. 3-year-old Carter was later discovered with his father in Columbia after an exhaustive search. And 5-year-old Nevaeh remained missing. We learned that Nevaeh's father was Nevaeh Adams, located him in the hopes that Nevaeh was with her father, and it proved that it was not true that she was not with him. We began a systematic search of a surrounding wooded area around Lantana Apartments by both K-9, tracking K-9, and officers on foot. At approximately 10:20 p.m., Johnson confesses to murdering both Cherie and Nevaeh. He provided information to detectives during the course of the interview that he had placed Nevaeh's body in a dumpster on the property of Lantana Apartments. An immediate search of the area and the surrounding areas of all the dumpsters on the property was then conducted by law enforcement. We discovered that we had an opportunity to reach out to Foothill Search and Rescue from Simpsonville to bring in canines for cadaver purposes. We learned that once we determined that Nevaeh was placed in the dumpster, the process in our county is once the debris is picked up through the dumpster, the truck takes it to Brewington Road, which is a transfer station. In that case, the garbage is placed across a floor and then mechanically loaded into a vehicle. Officers from the police department and the Sumter County Sheriff's Office searched the debris that was at the location to no avail. We also discovered that there was 9 trucks of debris on the property, and we seized those trucks in the attempts of searching them in the early morning hours of the 6th at the landfill of Waste Management on Screaming Eagle Road. In the coming days, the search for Nevaeh continued when we notified the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They have subject matter experts that have been involved in searches in landfills across the nation. They have developed a method that proves to be true in tracking all of the refuse trucks, both going to the transfer station and to Screaming Eagle Road. All of the trucks and all of the courses in the route that they travel is located through GPS. So they were able to determine, based on the information that was provided at the Brewington Road transfer station and the location on Screaming Eagle Road, that there was a possibility that 2 other trucks had offloaded at the Screaming Eagle facility prior to law enforcement being notified. We believe that we had about a 12 to 14 hour window from the time the crime was committed until law enforcement was notified. While that portion of the investigation is going on, we're still working the scene. We're providing blood evidence that we gathered from the scene to SLED for analysis. SLED helped us in this case in ways that's unimaginable. They gathered our evidence, they took in our evidence, and they began analyzing as soon as they got it. Based on the information that we received at the scene with the remains of Cherie and the information provided by Dante Johnson, he was arrested for murder of Cherie Bradley the night that we began the investigation. Subsequent to that, blood evidence gathered at the scene was compared with a known DNA standard of Nevaeh, and Devontae Johnson was charged with the murder on August the 26th of Nevaeh. And we knew that this was going to be a daunting task based off the information that we received from the National Center. This is something beyond the scope that one city or one county could accomplish. We contacted our partners at the State Law Enforcement Division and began a process by which to develop a strategy to begin the search for Nevaeh's remains. As we began out that process, we realized again that it was way beyond our scope. If you see in this room all the DOT personnel, law enforcement, firefighters across the state assisted us in that operation, Major Johnson will go in greater detail in just a moment. Based on the information, we believe that our best chance of locating Nevaeh's remains was within a 5-week window, based on the information that we received from the National Center. Friday, October the 18th, proved to be a bittersweet day. We located human remains and recovered human remains in the landfill. We prepared those remains for testing. The State Law Enforcement Division Forensics Lab did it immediately. And based on the test that was done, I was notified by Chief Keel at 11 p.m. on Friday evening that the known standard of DNA for Nevaeh was the DNA standard of the remains which was located in the landfill. It in fact was Nevaeh that we had located in the landfill. It's our hope that as we go throughout the coming days that we begin to heal as a family. We begin to heal as a community. We had an unimaginable impact on our community, an impact on a family that none of us as parents were conditioned to bury our children. We had an impact on all these officers and firefighters and everyone that had taken part in the recovery. Every day a briefing was conducted on the operation of the day, and one of the things that we talked about that we never imagined ourselves in our career fields being in a landfill sorting through debris in attempts to locate a beautiful 5-year-old child. It's an impact that we will continue to live with as professionals for the rest of our lives. At this time, I'm going to ask Chief Keel if he would come up and provide some information relative to the operation from the state level. Chief?
First, on behalf of Governor Henry McMaster and the entire team South Carolina, I want to express my sincere condolences to the family of Nevaeh. As Chief Roark has stated, once we knew that our mission was to search the landfill, we both realized that our agencies alone were not up to that task. I immediately reached out to Governor McMaster's office. I explained what the situation was, and we immediately supported our efforts by bringing the resources of Team South Carolina together, and also those local resources that we work with on a daily basis. We began mobilizing very quickly, and it was through this collaborative effort that we were successful in this mission. This team of professionals are used to working together. As Governor McMaster has often said, when we communicate, collaborate, and cooperate, there are no limits to what we can accomplish. Numerous agencies stepped up to support this effort, and I will just mention a few of the major contributors. Of course, we were involved in it from the standpoint of providing personnel that searched the landfill, along with our forensic personnel and our laboratory resources, and also by providing operational control through Major Stuart Robinson, who you'll hear from more details about the operation in a minute. We had Department of Transportation involved. Besides providing heavy equipment, they built the initial roads into the area where this operation was staged from. And their heavy equipment operators whose expertise, this mission could not have been accomplished without them. DHEC provided us with the needed vaccinations that all the personnel had to have be able to work in the landfill environment. And State Fire, coordinating through firefighter mobilization, provided personnel, some of whom were volunteers, that assisted in search, hazmat, and decontamination operations. And South Carolina Forestry Commission provided constant incident management and logistic support. Again, there are many other agencies, as you can see listed on the board to my right, that participated in this operation. Each one of those agencies was essential in the success of this operation. I just want to say that we know that we are a small state, but we are a strong state. When we work together as Team South Carolina, we will always be successful in our mission, and this is yet another example of that. Thank you. I'm going to introduce Major Stuart Robinson from SLED.
Thank you, Chief. So Chief Keel assigned me the privilege to coordinate Team South Carolina for this operation, and ultimately as the incident commander for all on-scene operations at the landfill. Behind me you'll see a video that's playing that will depict several scenes from the overall operation. You'll see right here a drone footage that I'm going to describe in detail of what you're looking at. Cell 6 that we were concerned with and where we basically centered our operations around is where you see the hole that has been dug by South Carolina Department of Transportation. With their expertise and their excavation, they were able to remove the product from this cell. They were then able to transport it to search pads such as this and lay it in a manner about 6 inches thick so that human searchers, state fire, and law enforcement could enter those search pads and search that area. And we constantly did that for the entire 5 weeks that we were out there. As you'll be able to see some of the equipment here, it was a daunting task that could not have been accomplished by one particular agency. It took everybody in this room. It took all the support to pull this feat off of having the fortunate opportunity to finding Nevaeh Adams. Like Chief said, it took 2 weeks to build and prepare the site before we could even enter it and bring all of our assets. Tri-County had to install the electrical grid. South Carolina Department of Transportation had to install roads before we could bring everything up on the landfill property, as you see here. This is our forensics area. We had forensic folks on site along with anthropologists from the Richland County Coroner's Office to process and identify anything that was found throughout the whole process throughout the 5 weeks. Once those 2 weeks were basically completed, we were then allowed to start searching on September 16th. We searched until October 21st, which was yesterday, and that gave us 25 days of searching. We had approximately 400 individuals from over 40 separate agencies, which included about 60 to 80 personnel every single day, processing those search patterns, those search pads, and they went through approximately 4 million pounds of material. The search area is approximately 100 feet by 75 feet. This here is a GoPro video of one of the searchers as she entered the scene, as so many of the searchers did throughout the 5 weeks. You can see as DOT has meticulously laid out this material from cell 6. This is parcel area of cell 6. The tarp that you see was a requirement that we had in covering the material each night to protect it from the environment that waste management required us to do. When you see this search area, if you'll follow with me, this area right here was the area that Nevaeh Adams was found on October 18th. Without the entire partnership of everybody standing in front of you, there's no way we could have accomplished it. I told them every single day that no matter what badge you wear, what uniform you wear, no matter who stands to the left or right of you, everybody was a part of this effort. I'm going to turn it over now to Attorney Joe Deese.
Good afternoon. My name's Gerald Dees. It's a humbling opportunity that I have today to come before you. It's very humbling. It's humbling because of the immense nature of the operation that I had an opportunity to witness firsthand just a few weeks ago when I was invited out to the landfill to observe what was taking place over the last month in the search for this sweet child, Nevaeh Adams. What I saw with my own 2 eyes was truly life-altering. What I saw was a collective unit, a collective group of this entire state coming together for a common cause, for the purpose of trying to bring some closure to this family, the Nelson family and the Adams family. What I saw with my own 2 eyes was every major agency of this state coming together as one for a common goal. I saw firemen and law enforcement, and I saw DOT workers, Department of Natural Resources, SLED agents. It was truly a sight to behold, and it made me think that if we can come together like this in tragedy, imagine as one on a regular basis, not just for the bad, but also for good. And it truly did inspire me. And I want to say on behalf of the family members that we thank Chief Roark, we thank the City of Sumter Police Department, we thank those that work in the fire department, we thank the searchers, we thank all all parts of our state agencies who took part in this project. What I saw were men and women who were dressed in hazmat suits. Some of them had sweat that had built up in their mask to the point where they literally had to take the mask off just to breathe. But the entire time they were still searching through this debris and waste. And some of those searches took place in weather that we were having. It was sometimes triple digits. Again, my heart goes out to those individuals who were the ones that were actually in those waste cells with small rakes combing through untold debris and waste in an effort to try to find this sweet child, Nevaeh. And again, my prayers will continue to be with law enforcement, the individuals who were involved in this search, and all members of all state agencies that took part in this. Right now, our hearts are heavy. Yes, we are happy that there's some semblance of closure that might be able to begin for this family, and a process will begin of healing. But there's, to say the least, this family is emotionally distraught, not just emotionally, but spiritually and mentally. This whole ordeal has taken an unspeakable toll on this family. And about a year ago, I had an opportunity to take part in a back-to-school bash. And at the end of that back-to-school bash, Nevaeh's mother, Cherie Bradley, asked me to take her home. I knew her because I know her stepfather. I've known him for most of my life. And Nevaeh and her mom, I took them home after that after-school bash. I didn't know at the time that the next time I had some encounter with this family would be a situation like this. I just remember how sweet that little girl was and how much fun she had at the after-school bash, and just how pleasant her demeanor was, and just how kind she was, and just how full of life and spirit she was as we rode home last year after this after-school bash. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a tragedy and a horror story from every sense of the word. And the only thing I would ask is that as a community that the community of Sumter as a whole, whether that be our political leaders, our spiritual leaders, our elected officials, our community at large, we need to come together at this time in prayer to support and to love on this family, because that's what's needed at this time as we turn the page and now put our focus on making sure that the gentleman who committed these heinous crimes, that he is punished to the full extent of the law. That's our focus, and we continue to ask for your prayers and thoughts. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Chip Finney. I'm the elected solicitor for Sumter County and the Third Circuit. I want to say thank you to these volunteers and staff agency members that came together and found Nevaeh. That without you all, it would have been impossible for us to know what to do. Just the fact that you all put your head together and put your mission and went forward is just unbelievable. I want to say thank you to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. From the very first briefing that they gave us, I knew that these men and women had done this before, and they had a plan, and they followed the plan and taught us the plan, and we were successful. I want to thank Chief Roark for having the foresight and the courage to go through with the plan without a guarantee that we were going to be successful, without the resources to get it done. He decided he was not going to stop looking for Nevaeh. And then I finally want to thank the family for trusting the elected officials and the police departments who always wanted the best for you all. We do this every day, and we know you don't. And stick with us. We're going to get you through this. And we're happy that you're going to have a chance to give her a good homegoing service. Thank you very much.
I'm Joe McElveen, and I'm the mayor of Sumter. Let me begin by introducing some members of City Council are here in the back. Right here in front we have Councilman Calvin Hasty. In the back we have Councilman David Merchant, Councilman Steve Corley, and Councilman Colin Davis. I'm here because I did very little to bring any of this conclusion to this matter. But I'm here because I am the mayor and because this is a city I love, and I love the people of this city. To the family of Ms. Bradley and Nevaeh, I want the family to know that the heart of everyone in our city has been grieved by the senseless violence that took the lives of your loved ones. I regret the City Council could not become involved in discussions that were going on as the investigation proceeded. However, we never want to risk interference of an ongoing criminal investigation. We have confidence in our police department, and we believe we know they have proven they know what they're doing. But I understand your grief because I've dealt with people in grief for many years, and you just don't know how it is from day to day, up, down, guilty, mad. It just goes that way. I speak for all of City Council today, too, saying that our thoughts and prayers have been with you throughout this most difficult time, and they continue now, and they will continue into the future. We're so sorry for your loss. The same is true of this whole city. Nevaeh's image has been in the minds of the citizens of Sumter for all of these weeks. We've grieved with you. We see our own children in that face. We can't help but. You're enduring the greatest loss possible, the loss of a child or a grandchild. I hope that the announcement today will bring some peace to you in time. This would not have been possible without a lot of effort. I was amazed. I had no idea. And I hope the story will be fully told someday of what it took to bring us to this point. Forestry Commission, DNR, DOT, SLED, you name it, National Guard, all were there working. The only thing I could really think of was y'all were preparing to go to a battle. It was almost like that. I mean, you had to take care of food. I mean, you just can't imagine all of the logistical problems that had to be overcome to do this, but they did it. And I want to thank all of our colleagues on city and county councils all over the state for sending representatives, to all of the sheriffs. Chief, I know you're the head of the sheriff. I know you're the head of the statewide sheriffs. I hope you will give them City of Sumter's appreciation. We're thankful for all of that help. I want to thank Sumter Police Department. You did everything you could from the very beginning. You risked your safety and your health to go through garbage to try to find what we were looking for to prove this murder. I commend you for that, and I thank you for that, and I want you to know your city is proud of you for all that you've done. And Chief, I can't express the admiration I have for the fact that you have a department that is committed to serve everyone in this community and protect everyone in this community, and we are grateful for that. So with that, I'm going to leave you, but just once again say to the family, we will not forget. This has been, as Lawyer D said, this is an event that has hurt our entire community. And we are glad for today, but sad that it had to happen at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Before we take any questions, there's a couple of things that I want to make sure we highlight. First is Waste Management. It's a private company that's in a profit business that gave us more assistance than could ever be imagined. To allow us to be on their property, to disrupt their operation, to set aside the sale that we believe, based off our best information, where we would have the best opportunity to locate Nevaeh, to set that aside and totally change their operation is amazing, particularly with private industry. If you look at all of these people this year, it's not representative of everybody that had been there throughout the days. So we had this picture of Nevaeh in the tent. We had everybody to sign it that played some role throughout this 5-week process. The 5-week process of actually going through 4 million pounds of garbage was an arduous process, but to get us there, I would say this is a better than textbook example of state, local agencies working together. But if you think about local agencies across the state, the work the Department of Transportation did to allow us to put us in the location by building the road was amazing. The work they did with the equipment every day to level out the debris to the point where it was manageable for the searchers to search it with rakes was amazing. The job Stewart did every day of coordinating the operation of so many different entities, whether you be a firefighter, DOT, DNR, police officer, deputy sheriff, forestry service is absolutely amazing. I think it stands, I think Chief Keel said earlier, we're a small state, and we are a small state. But we have proven beyond any stretch of the imagination of what can be accomplished when we work together, and we appreciate that. So we'll take any questions you all may have at this time.
Build an electric grid that y'all utilize out there? You mentioned somebody building an electric grid, something has to be built.
Actually, we had power brought in from the right-of-way from, which company was it?
Tri-County.
Tri-County Electric.
The power had to be brought in
Correct.
from Tri-County Electric.
Correct.
And this was the waste management facility in Richland County. Right?
That is correct, on Screaming Eagle Road.
That's all I got.
Okay.
You mentioned that 5-week window that you've been told about by the National Center. Can you elaborate on why that's your best chance, that 5-week window?
They're subject matter experts in household debris from the pickup from the curbside to the truck to the transfer stations to the landfills. They have it designed based on a mathematical equation, if you will, based on the timing of the truck, remembering the fact that all those trucks are with GPS devices. So they know when the truck comes in. Waste management is a leader in the industry in waste management. The industry standard is, from my understanding, 2,000 square cubes a yard of garbage, cubic yards, excuse me, and they're doing 2,500 cubic yards of garbage in the compaction rate. So based on the visualization of from the curbside to the transfer station, along with the data, the method by which they move the garbage and compact it or the debris, they provided us with the information, particularly after we discovered the other 2 trucks that had been previously dumped.
Will you confirm the date on the names were found and the verification process that followed?
The date was last Friday, I believe that's the 18th, if I'm correct. That was done through the analyzation of the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division forensic lab to determine the DNA of the remains compared to the known standard we have.
Were you able to determine that the remains that were found were in fact from one of those 2 truckloads that initially had not been searched, or was that not?
Now, that is our belief based on the location it was discovered, the depth it was discovered, that it in fact was on those 2 previous trucks.
And Solicitor, the fact that remains were found, does that help prosecute this case? Does that make it easier for your office?
Yes, it does.
I just also want to confirm what the DOT did. It seemed like those were roads that were made, at least they were flattened out, and that's correct, right? The DOT made roads that y'all utilized, put the garbage on and search through it. So.
Yes, there was a landing that when the garbage was removed or the debris was removed from the pit, it was placed on the landing and spread across in a fashion that was manageable to go through with rakes.
And they also dug into the garbage, was that it? Who dug the?
They did.
Hole that was dug?
Department of Transportation did everything that you saw on the video with machinery. All right, thank you all for coming. And this concludes our news conference. Thank you. Appreciate you. I gotta give you a hug. You're gonna be your best friend.